Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of GrowthNestGlobal. I am your host, Chris Chambers, co-founder of GrowthNestGlobal, and today I want to take you on an immersive journey to understand the value of social listening. Let's get started. So when we're talking about social listening, what we're talking about is truly the ability to understand exactly what it is the market is saying about your particular brand, your particular industry, or a particular service level that's being delivered. You can find an enormous amount of information and opportunity if you are attuned to the sentiments of your audience and your captive markets that you are looking to attract through the science and art of social listening. Before we get started, I want to make sure to thank our friends over at Digimind for creating this very informative graph on the difference between social listening, social analytics, and social media management. All three of these are necessary in a business, but they deliver very distinctive results. Your social media listening is about collecting and analyzing the public content that a consumer market, your influencers, your competitors, and just the overall media around your market is publishing. Your social media analytics then is going to get into exactly how to take that information and understand how your brand is performing against a set of OKRs or KPIs. These are the metrics that are in place to determine the health of the business. And then there's social media management, which is the ongoing effort that every one of our brands, every single business has to do to make sure that their voice and their brand is being represented, not only for their expertise, but for their culture, for their beliefs, everything that a brand has to stand for today. And we have Apple to thank for that. And that is what social media management is. So what we are going to be talking about today is the art of social listening and what are those benefits. Benefit number one, what does the audience want to see? One of the most amazing aspects of social listening is that it's literally like having a fly on the wall of every customer based on keyword or whatever set of parameters you've put in place to listen to. You are at the epicenter of their lives because, as you can see in this graphic, social media is far more than just a LinkedIn, a Facebook, or X, now formerly Twitter. You're talking about all of the multimedia channels that users and your customers to use to express themselves, express their likes, express their dislikes, and express their experiences. Case study number one of great social media listening goes to the brand Starface. Sarah Luga here in the picture on the left-hand side is having a TikTok influencer experience. She has grown her brand incredibly and has a very loyal following. And so she posted a video with these distinctive yellow stars on her TikTok where she was talking about having a blonde moment. I don't want to get into what that particularly means. I really want to go into the heart of how social listening took a moment that was completely unrelated to the brand and turned it into an amazing, engaging experience because they recognized Starface. Those stars are theirs, and that's user generated content. And so the social media team then took that post from TikTok, converted it into an Instagram post, and at the time of the capture had over 3,700 likes, including Sarah Luga herself. That's the essence of using influencers and using co-branding to help expand your reach. That is one of the amazing benefits of social listening. Social listening, I want to make sure it's not an esoteric term. I want to give you guys a real world view into what social listening looks like and what you can derive from that information. This is connecting all of your social media channels to a particular platform and then beginning to program what are the things that need to be learned from the market. If you're a large brand, maybe number of mentions. Maybe it's the number of message boards that you are being mentioned on. Maybe the number of blogs that are mentioning a particular topic, subject. And then, of course, how many Facebook posts are being generated around this topic or around your brand or your industry. Remember, social media listening is about understanding the market level, not just your personal brand's experience, because then you'll be able to extract opportunities that you're not currently getting. Every brand has a certain amount of market share. Your sentiment analysis is how is the brand perceived, your personal brand, the business brand itself. Then you will also understand from a demographics perspective who is talking about your brand or whom is communicating about the brand experience. Funny story could be you're a luxury jeweler and you specialize in women's jewelry. And at the time of social listening, it shows that 59% of the people that are mentioning your brand are males. Why would that be relevant at that particular time you're listening? Could be Valentine's Day. And now the men are trying to scramble to understand what should I give my woman for her or spouse, excuse me, for her for this very special day. And then number of mentions. And so what you get is an immersive experience to understand where is your brand being mentioned, how often is it being mentioned, by whom is it being mentioned, and are we being mentioned in a positive light? That's one of the benefits of social listening. Number two, and one of the things we all want to know, how does our brand stack up against competitors? Let's say, for example, you are a CRM system and you were going to compete directly with HubSpot. One thing you're going to want to know about how the market perceives HubSpot is by social listening and understanding what do the customers really love about HubSpot. And as you can see here in this case study, what we have is Jason Bradwell, who is giving overly effusive praise to the experience he had with the HubSpot customer service team. And when you have a customer testimony to customer service levels that deep, then as a brand, if you're competing with a HubSpot, you will have to match that level of effort to deliver customer service, or you won't be able to displace HubSpot. You may be able to attract some new customers who never experienced HubSpot, but if you're going up in a head-to-head where you're looking to replace that system, you're going to want to be able to deliver that same level of customer service and any of the other most commonly experienced and tweeted about, posted about things in the brand experience that the customers have. So HubSpot does an amazing job of capturing that sentiment and in building their entire infrastructure from a customer support perspective around delivering world-class customer service. Again, this is another map at what social media listening looks like. If you see on the right-hand side here, what you're looking at is a list of mentions. You're going to be talking about how you actively understand how your brand is being engaged. In the middle, you're going to have a map of everywhere the brand is being mentioned. And then on the left-hand side, you're going to be able to understand what types of hashtags are being used in those mentions. So now you understand comprehensively if you are hitting the right target markets with your content. That's one of the great lessons. Not only can you measure yourself against the competition, but you can look up the makeups of the hashtags, the demographics, and understand, is that the right core audience for what we are trying to attract as a brand? Or is it an opportunity to redirect the brand as long as it's in alignment to that particular subset that seems to be more interested and engaged with your brand? Number three, what does your audience need? Now, this is going to be the one that a lot of people are going to want to be interested in. You're going to want to know, how do I use social listening to drive sales? Casey's Pizza. Now, I have admittedly, I've never heard of Casey's Pizza, and I came to find out they're the fifth largest pizza chain in all of America. And very interesting. You think Domino's, Papa John's, the big ones, Pizza Hut, and Casey's Pizza is doing a phenomenal job with branding. Phenomenal job social listening. Casey's Pizza, it has two tribes. You're going to be a thin crust tribe or you're going to be a full crust tribe, original. And so the team at Casey's understood how to take that and turn it into a highly engaging content piece. Which team are you on? Having their customers choose a side and engage with the brand. Now, you can take that a step further and reward the people who engage with the brand, if you were a restaurant, for example, with a discount to attract them into the restaurant. That's an incredibly engaging experience, or it would be a reward if they're already a customer. Either way, what social media listening in this respect allows you to do is identify true sales opportunities by understanding where your customers are drawing a line in the experience and then choosing a creative way to have them engage with choosing a side, but they still chose you. So we are going to do a hypothetical experiment. We're going to be running a coffee shop where Coffee Cabin here represented in the green. I'd like to demonstrate to you the power of social media listening analytics, but always in context of what it means. So if you're looking at share of voice, this is the volume of expressions from the customer base. Coffee Cabin is killing it. We're doing an amazing job until you start digging a bit deeper and you understand what it is that you really want. There is mentions and then there are engagements. Engagements are when you have people who feel so compelled. Of course, we all are posting in social media, but compelled to engage because they felt like our content was either in line with what they believe they love in a brand, or number two, they're just supporting their favorite brand. Now, if I have as large of a share of the voice of the market, I would equally expect from my team and our content to have a large share of the engagements, but that's not true. The red is impresso espresso. While they do not have a large share of voice, what you look at when you look at engagements, what you find total engagements, their line is actually larger than our line in the green. That means that per post, they have a very, very high level of engagement. So that quality of their content, when you look at total number of engagements, that says that they need to up their volume of content as long as they don't sacrifice quality. Java House actually has the least amount of engagements total, but the most amount of engagements per message right here. And so what that means is that they likely need to up their content volume because they are getting a high level of engagement. Their total number of unique authors, that's now Java House in the purple, they have the most number in terms of market share of unique authors. So not only are they winning in the average engagements per message, but they're also winning in terms of the number of unique humans who are expressing the interest in the brand and are positive. And then out of total number of impressions, the interesting thing is because of the high total volume of engagement that the red brand, Impresso Espresso, is delivering, they have the largest share of potential impressions. So every time they throw or put a piece of content into their content engine, it comes out with the opportunity to gain a large portion of the impressions in this total analysis. Now, this is competitive analysis. This is how to help your social media efforts actually deliver the results that the business then understands. Well, if we are getting this many number of engagements per post, how is that translating into opportunities for the business? Social media teams, that's where you get into social media management to really understand what is all of this engagement, what does that really mean in terms of opportunity, and how do we trace that back to the opportunity? Who are the brand influencers? This economy and the economy going forward will be about people who know how to build relationships with people who have built tribes around their brands. My daughter is absolutely in love with a brand in YouTube. There are the Spy Ninjas and there is Sniper Wolf. Those are her two favorite YouTube personalities. We're talking about 50 million plus followers between them. When you are dealing at that level of influencer, you have a certain formula you would have to crack in order to get in there. But at the micro influencer level, let's say 10,000 people and up, you have a fantastic opportunity to develop personal relationships. Now, it would sound like just me if it wasn't for Chipotle executing such a well done strategy. The two TikTok kids you see here are the Cheeky Boys. They are known for their very wacky stunts. They do some crazy, incredible things, and they get tons and tons and tons of views. Now, Chipotle, understanding that influencer marketing, especially Gen Z being one of their core demographics that they are going to attract and retain, they send a challenge to the Cheeky Boys to deliver a burrito to space. And the Cheeky Boys post that to their audience. So yes, while Chipotle may have the bigger brand presence, They get into the tribe of the cheeky boys, and whatever the cheeky boys say, the other groups say. And that's the way influence works. When you build relationships with the right influencers, which is around how you take social listening to determine who are the right influencers. Now, this is another in-depth view of what a social listening operation would be using to determine whom are the right people to partner with from an influencer perspective to help your brand extract some of the value out of their tribe. As you can see here, this is a much deeper analysis into the social listening. Each level up, each example, I want to provide with you a view into the depth of which social listening can help your business identify positive, negative trends, how you are being tagged and mentioned, what sources are the best channels for your brand in terms of exposure, how many times your brand is being engaged with. The health of your exposure will have a direct reflection on your health of your brand long term. And last, although we never, ever, ever want to manage a crisis, we do want to have something in place to manage a crisis should we have one. Now, a crisis in this example, a great example of this is the brand Spectrum. Now, Spectrum, you can see from the tweet, another day, another Spectrum outage with the smiley face. What that customer is articulating is that that seems to be a fairly reoccurring thing happening in the brand experience with Spectrum. Now, the beauty of social listening is that Spectrum as a business implemented this process so that they could understand and respond. Now, look at the great customer experience that's being delivered. Our apologies for the issues you're having with your internet. Please follow your DM with your service phone number, full address, or account number, and I would be happy to look into this for you. So rather than her having to pick up the phone and reach out to the customer service team and wait in line, customer service comes to you. Now, for all of the negatives or the potential intermediary negatives, that's one of the best brand experiences I've actually ever heard of when customer service comes to you because you expressed yourself. Now, that's going to buy that brand some more time to fix out the operational issues. So kudos to Spectrum for seeing an opportunity to use social media listening to improve the customer experience. Now, this is social media management. I also wanted to make sure I tied that all the way back in. This is the view that we are used to seeing when we believe we're engaging in the practice of listening to social media and understanding. It's really about metrics and management. This is the number of posts that have gone out. This is the number of impressions this has generated. This is the number of engagements it's generated. But it really doesn't tell you anything past numbers. You don't know which segments, which tags, which customer groups, which brands are outperforming, underperforming. Underperforming brands are always an opportunity. It's always an opportunity to swoop right on in. You know, if you see Apple and Samsung, they just can't wait for the other to release something so they can start talking bad about it so they can grab their customers. I mean, business is that level of competitive. And social media listening versus social media management will give you the capabilities to see an opportunity where your customers may have, competitors, may have dropped the ball. And then you yourself be able to pick that ball up, win you a new customer, and win you a deeper relationship. So again, we want to make sure as Drive Research, we thank them here as we close out. We want to make sure that everybody understands that social media monitoring and social media listening are not the same thing. That was what the previous slide was about, making sure that you saw that social media monitoring does give you great information in the short term, but it's not necessarily giving you the depth of information to guide your future efforts. Do you know whether or not 7 was the number of impressions you should have gotten or engagements versus 35 when your customer sees an engagement or an engaging post that's a little bit different than the way that you're posting? Well, we have to swoop in and adopt that as long as that is the top level. Maybe it's not 35, maybe it's 105, maybe it's 1,000. The sky is the limit when you implement social listening because you get a much larger view and grander view of the process. I want to thank you all so very, very much for the endorsements, the likes, the follows. It's very, very refreshing. I love opportunities to get in front of the audience and share things that we're learning and implementing here at GrowthNest Global. So thank you so very much, and we'll see you soon.